Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another installment of TED Excellence, the show in which Earth keeps trying to send probes to my home, but somehow Dogcat Fox keeps intercepting them. And I come to you live from Crater Valley on the moon with Dogcat Fox, a Pepperjack, and all of you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to Thursday, T-minus Thursday. Yes, we return once again to the wonderful world of off-brand TED Talks for entertainment and enlightenment. And boy, howdy, do I feel like I'm going to be enlightened today. Shametenance. That's our word for today, Shametenance. I guess. I don't know. I have no idea. This is black box territory. I don't know what's inside. We'll find out together. But before we get there, who's joining me on this beautiful Thursday evening? Noah Asensio, good evening. Keeverdam, good evening to you. And thank you, Keeverdam, for as always helpfully providing the links to the GoFundMes for our friends Moonshock, Angela Arriaga, Rhonda, and Grisella. Rhonda, who... Did you slip one in there that I'm not aware of? Or maybe that's somebody's name that I'm just not familiar with. You might have to remind me of that. I've been thrown off. Either way, James Colleague, Grisella, Rhonda, Angela Arriaga, and Moonshock, please take a look at those when you have the opportunity. And if you can donate, please do so. If you can't, that's fine. But if you can share those out on social media, that would be appreciated. Thank you so much for that, Keeverdam and everyone. Fun Time Bats, good evening. Mike R., good evening. Advocatus Diaboli, good evening. Shell D., good evening. Tony Giff, good evening. Who else is here? Oh my gosh, Derek LaRue. Derek Lou, thank you. Thank you so much once again for your continued generosity and support. Really appreciate it. Hope you're having a good Thursday, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you again. John Trioxin, good evening. Bold Sign, good evening. Since you've got nothing else to do tonight, well, I'll take that. I will take your pity. Why not? Attack Alpaca, good evening. Kiro Soldier, good evening. Spoonie the Rebel, good evening. Orcole Di Stefano, good evening. Robert Pincus, good evening. Zan Wild, good evening. Keldrig, good evening. The Best Remy, because there's only one Remy in my world. Good evening. Who else is here? Anybody else? Anybody else? Alan Thyler, good evening. And also, Alan Thyler, thank you so much for the Hiya Dogcat Fox. Oh, Dogcat Fox.
Wowie, wow, wow.
Oh, that's a ranting monkey, Dogcat Fox. Thank you so much, Alan. Hope you're having a good evening and that you enjoy the show. Anybody else here? Pissed Off Shih Tzu, good evening. Simon Willikins, good evening. And Tyr Alexander, the Gentleman Lich, good evening. And Kiro Soldier, thank you so much. If you need help defending your home, I have a plethora of robots and a spaceship I can send up to you. All I ask in return is a bunk to sleep. I don't particularly enjoy the thought of having to owe anyone, Kiro Soldier. I have a well-defended moon base. At least 3 attempts have been made by various countries and concerns in the last year alone to send probes to my backyard, and each one of them has either failed or malfunctioned in some way, shape, or form. So I think my track record's pretty solid at this point. So there. Neener. And also, Jam, good evening. But really, thank you, Kiro Soldier. I really appreciate it. If things get hairy up here, I know who to call. Ghostbusters. Roger Reynolds, if I didn't already say hello. Hello. All right, so tonight, yes, as I said, is a black box. I don't know what this is about. Anything TEDx presentation against Shametenance or against Shametenance. I personally like Shametenance. As you may know, I'm an English major, so I find words very intriguing, or made-up words. And similarly, today's bingo card poll was based around presumed made-up words, or at least non-standard words. And today's winner was, what was it again? I forget now. Oh, irregardless. That's what it was. Irregardless. My brain does not want to even consider that a word. But yes, irregardless was the winner of the poll. And thus, bingo card B is our bingo card for tonight. Links to the bingo cards are in the description. So look for that and get your bingo card B ready for that. This one clocks in at just under 16 minutes. So it's a pretty lengthy TEDx. Any other hellos before I continue? Ostsan, good evening. And I think that's everybody I saw. If I missed you, if you're lurking, if you're in the future, good evening. Any other notes before we begin? I think that's about it. And remember, if you stay around till the end of the show, you'll get the secret word. The secret word will let you into the Discord if you're into that kind of thing. All that being said, let's start off with a few seconds for a sound test. You guys tell me if you can hear it, and then we will proceed.
Which part of your body would you most like to change?
Well, I'm actively, hopefully in the last stages of organizing my teeth. I got my last, again, fingers crossed, knock Formica, last phase of Invisalign, so I don't share a tooth heritage with Irate Alex or anything. So I suppose that. But outside of that, I'd probably have my eyes fixed. I've been wearing glasses since I was 6 years old, and my vision ain't getting any better. So I suppose my eyes. How's that? Teeth and then eyes. Sounds pretty practical to me.
And how did that question make you feel?
I don't know. Like, free, I suppose, because I can admit to things that I'm not that jazzed with, but also admit to things that are realistic to alter about myself. I guess the fact that I didn't bring up something like, my weight or my nose or my chin or anything else is a good sign, maybe? I don't know.
For many people, the answer to the first question pops instantly into their head. And for many people, the way that makes them feel is shame.
That sounds like a personal problem. I mean, shame is self-generated because it's all about shame. You get it? Oh.
So I want to talk to you today about shametenance.
I am dying to hear about shametenance. Shametenance. I really want to. I've never heard of this before. Let's go to the bingo card real quick because we are already talking about a new buzzword or buzz phrase. So let's go over the bingo card once. Remember, this is bingo card B. Links to the bingo cards are in the description. All right, we're listening for marginalized or marginalization, self-vilification or wretchedness. We might be getting there already. Contradicts own point or argument, feminism, microaggressions or unconscious bias, privilege, benevolent condescension, weightless example, plays victim, and that's when the speaker themselves plays the victim in some way, collectivizes own demographic, economic disparity, argumentative non sequitur, attempt to coin new buzzword or buzz phrase, which I will be circling now. Then we have a list. Remember, that's to be something like a formal list as part of the presentation. Mind reading or assumes motives. She's already done that too. Many people feel shame. Circling that one. Patriarchy. Anecdote that probably never happened. Diversity, equity, and or inclusion. White supremacy. Childhood or family anecdote. Systemic or institutional. Leaves out vital context. Sales pitch for product or service. And lastly, word salad. So on the card so far, we have attempt to coin new buzzword or buzz phrase and mind reading or assumes motives. And I'll circle free space because it's free. All right, that's where we're at. Let's continue.
Which is my word for shame maintenance, the maintenance of shame.
Oh, I like Shametenance.
I'm going to tell you what shametenance is.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you what's wrong with it.
That it's not a real word? No.
And I'll offer some suggestions for what we can do collectively to fight it.
Okay.
But first of all, let's back up a bit.
All right.
How do I know that many of you would have had an answer to that question?
Because human beings in general have a certain amount of, they're self-aware, they have a self-image they're trying to maintain. There's that whole sort of survival instinct of trying to attract a mate, perhaps, or look the part or appear put together. And so everybody gets a little critical of themselves because of this thing or that thing, or maybe I wish my nose was smaller, or maybe my chin was a little bit broader. I wish I had less weight on my bones and so on. It's because it's a common human experience. You weren't really doing Vegas odds on that one.
And that you'd have felt shame about it.
Well, I haven't felt shame about anything yet.
Well, one way I know is that people tell me.
Oh, people. Okay.
So I wrote a book called Intact, A Defense of the Unmodified Body.
Intact in defense of the unmodified body. Okay. Seems like you've already got kind of a predetermined perspective on this. Are you talking about like plastic surgery? Because I could get behind that, you know, unless there's something drastically necessary to do because of an accident or maybe some other kind of impairment or something. I'm not a big fan of the idea of plastic surgery just in general. But, you know, to each their own. I think most people are fine the way they are. But, you know, if you want to spend the money, whatever. If that's what you mean, then circumstantially, I might be on your side.
And when it was published, I went around the country doing lots of talks and interviews.
Uh-huh.
And every time I did this, the person who was interviewing me would raise with me their worries about some part of their body.
Why wouldn't they? Your book is talking about not modifying bodies. That was your case, but it seems like it was kind of a foregone conclusion that would come up.
Often this would be backstage before the talk began, or at the end of the interview after the recording had ended.
I suppose so, right? Because they were going to interview you about the book, and then they talk to you as an expert, or at least a proposed expert on the subject. Yeah. Okay. Also, by the way, this entire talk, and I only know this from getting the sound boosted up some for the sake of the presentation. The entire talk is one single fixed camera. There's no variance to it. There's no, as far as I know, there's no visual aids at all. So you could listen to this as a podcast, not really miss much, as I'm sure several of you already have. Before I get to that, though, Robert Pincus, thank you so much. Just to let you know that NASA's Odysseus spacecraft landed on the moon today. Not without issues, Robert Pincus. Let me brush a little dirt off my shoulder there. Not without issues. There's some questions about the integrity of the craft after it landed. But I appreciate the heads up, because NASA sure gave me one with their CGI simulated okay, just as an aside, we had cameras filming the moon landing in 1969, but somehow, some way, they couldn't afford or couldn't be bothered to put a camera on this first probe that's gone up there in like 52 years or something to actually show us it landing, you know, in some way, shape, or form. They didn't. So when the broadcast was going out, they just gave us this looped cheap PS1 graphics computer simulation of the thing flying over the moon. It was just silly. Keeverdam, thank you so much. Sales pitch because of her book. You know what? You are right. I was so caught up in listening to her anecdote that you're absolutely right. All right, circling sales pitch for product or service on the card. So there we go. And just as a reminder, this is bingo card B. So far we have free space, attempt to coin new buzzword or buzz phrase, mind reading or assumes motives, and sales pitch for product or service. Anyway, moon rant completed.
One time I did a talk at the Hay Festival and there was a book signing afterwards. And at the next table was Jarvis Cocker, the lead singer of the 90s band Pulp.
90s band Pulp. Doesn't ring a bell.
Now, unsurprisingly, the queue of people waiting to meet him was much, much longer than the queue of people waiting to meet me.
Are you jealous?
But as the staff member looking after me said, his queue is much longer.
Because of genetics.
But your queue is much slower.
Probably because the people in the longer line were being courteous to the amount of people waiting for this guy and given the amount of time there was. I'm just saying it might just be a matter of manners and expediency. But okay, I don't know what you want to read into that.
Everyone wants to talk to you.
I bet they want to talk to him too, but they probably have to move things along because there's so many people and there's a schedule.
And it's true. People would do this. They would talk to me about their struggles, perhaps with age or with weight. People would talk to me about their struggles with visible difference.
Is that because the content and subject matter of your book was about those things? and the content and subject matter of the guy next to you was a music band that, again, long line, lots of people, they were trying to move things along, and there wasn't a whole lot to talk about other than I love your work, or that song you did was great, or I went to that concert one time and I met my wife or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Your book signing.
One man told me that he would never take his top off at the beach.
Again, sounds like a him problem.
Lots of young people told me about their struggles with social media and dealing with those expectations online.
Yes.
But another way I know about people's feelings about their bodies is through large studies.
Large studies? Oh, how clever. Or wait. Okay. I know I'm probably going to say this more than once over this thing. It's not a revelation that people are self-conscious. I don't know what to tell you. The other way I know that people think about their bodies is large studies. You mean just like being alive? Did you ever attend high school by any chance and either experience or witness kids being uncomfortable with themselves in a, sort of puberty territory? Okay, all right.
So one large study of tens of thousands of adults found that 70% of women felt media pressure to have a perfect body.
Oh, okay. They felt that. Okay. Yeah. Well, the advertising was getting to them, wasn't it?
Not just a good body, but a perfect body. And that same study found that 2/3 of men were ashamed of their body.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you're actually giving some credence to men's struggles as well. I'm honestly surprised.
We can also look at surveys of young people. So Girl Guiding does a survey of girls' attitudes every year. The most recent survey found that girls are less happy about their appearance than they were in 2009, and that they feel ashamed of their bodies and ashamed of their appearance as a result of the unrealistic expectations placed on them.
Unrealistic expectations placed on them. I hate to tell you this, nobody places those expectations on them but them. If they are falling for advertising and how to shape how they see themselves, that's on them. Their feelings are their responsibility. I don't know what to tell you. The operative word in self-esteem is self. No one else is responsible for your self-esteem.
Online.
So
all of this adds up to what psychologists call an epidemic of appearance anxiety.
Sure. Mass media overexposure. So people need to learn to be, there can be positive elements of this, right? How many people have been inspired by someone else's physique, someone else's story, or whatever else, to get up off the couch and move around a bit more, eat a bit more healthfully, right? I really wonder how many people have been scared into healthier living by shows like My 600-Pound Life or something like that. But ultimately, it comes down to the individual making choices for themselves, doesn't it?
So why is this? Why do so many of us feel ashamed about our bodies? Is it because our bodies have got worse?
No, because self-image issues are endemic to people in general. They may have a higher profile now than they did before. Studies about them might be more extensive than they were before. But everybody in some way, shape, or form at one time in their lives becomes self-conscious about something about their body, either in extreme terms or not. Some people have eating disorders or whatever else. This is nothing new. It's just more exposed, I suppose.
Are our bodies objectively bad? No.
Some are. Some are objective. My 600-Pound Life. Some bodies are objectively bad.
The way I see it is this: if all of us feel bad about our bodies,
we don't all feel bad about our bodies.
Then our bodies can't be the problem.
You can conceivably allow your body to become a problem. Now, some people don't have a choice, right? Either because of medical conditions or otherwise. Right? But most people have a choice. And if their body becomes a problem, it's probably because they've been doing bad things to their body or not taking care of themselves. And that is personal choice, personal motivation. And ultimately, some bodies are indeed bad. I was with you for a little bit there, but now I'm starting to get into the territory of wondering if this is just fat acceptance with a different name.
The problem has to be the overwhelming influence that we live in our society that tells us that our bodies are wrong.
Okay, so it's not personal responsibility. The systems and society are doing it to us. Are you sure you're not just making excuses for people to not change their habits?
Cosmetic companies tell us that if we buy their products, our skin or our hair will be better.
Beer companies tell us if they drink their drink, we'll suddenly be at a pool party with bikini girls. I mean, it's called advertising. It's some of the lowest of the level of all human existence. Marketing and advertising. You mean to tell me that they try to manipulate people into buying a thing, and that sex sells, and that self-esteem also sells? Oh, okay, I almost believe you. Thank you, Keldrig. Large studies. I think you mean planetary geology. Oh, I have a thing for that, don't I? Yeah, I do. There you go. Thank you, Keldrig. Appreciate it. And also, Midnight's Edge is here. You mean I bought all that Miller Lite for nothing? Oh, no, Tom Connors. You bought it for something. For destroying the male patriarchy. That's what you did. You didn't know you were doing it, but you're putting pennies in the coffers of Miller Lite to destroy the patriarchy, that frat bro philosophy around beer. That's what you did. Anyway, and also C. Thomas, good evening. Lupus albus, good evening. And also Tom reminds us that's not how the Force works. It shouldn't, but this is the current year.
Influencers tell us that if we follow their exercise and diet regime, our body shape will conform to the ideal.
Oh my gosh. People trying to sell a personality and a product to people gullible enough to pay for it? I never thought of such a thing.
Cosmetic surgeons invent new procedures, new invasive practices that we can undergo.
Yes, and those that are willing and wanting to pay the money to do it, whether it's right, wrong, well-advised, or otherwise, a fool and their money are soon parted. Also, I have to remind, this event where this talk takes place, it is a, pardon me, it is a TEDx youth talk. And so there are other talks within this event that had, I think, high schoolers or something talking. But I specifically made sure that before I went with this one, it was an adult and a professor of some kind at this school, rather than, I don't cover TEDx talks that have like, teenagers or non-professionals, as much as I can avoid it anyway. So just a note is to keep to my habit.
Social media encourages us to compare our appearance with images that have all been filtered or modified in some way.
Yeah.
And all of these influences are trying to sell us something.
You don't say.
So the latest trend is...
Aren't you here to sell us something? Aren't you here to sell us your book? Aren't you here to sell me on the idea that I don't have to think about my body as something that needs to be fixed? Even if it's something that I could fix, whether it's, the orientation of my teeth or the quality of my eyesight or perhaps even my weight or musculature. Okay.
So the latest trend is high-end anti-aging skincare regimes for preteen girls.
Wow. And where are the parents?
This is a trend that is started by influencers, paid influencers on TikTok and Instagram, and then spread out through peer pressure.
Oh, gosh. I have never heard of such a thing before.
and peer trends.
Yes.
Now, 10-year-old girls don't want anti-aging creams because their skin needs it. In fact, dermatologists say that often these kinds of products can be damaging on such young skin.
Well, golly gee, if only there was some kind of, I don't know, slightly supposedly wiser supervising authority in these 10-year-old girls' lives to try to, I don't know, sort of control or at least try to mitigate such things so that they don't fall into those bad habits. Someone that could, I don't know, act as some kind of, I don't know, moral or philosophical template. I know I'm just talking out of my rear end. I'm looking for messages in tree bark at this point.
So 10-year-old girls want these things because of the influence they are under. They are the victims of an aggressive economic campaign based on appearance anxiety.
Yes, and it's never happened before, and it'll never happen again. This is a unique age in which companies and corporations are trying to squeeze money out of different demographics of people, trying to guilt them or shame them into spending money on their products. It's never happened before. Oh my God. Oil of Olay, Miller Lite, Rogaine, Juice Man.
The best thing from a commercial point of view is if a company can get us to be worried about body parts that we were never worried about before. So if you think about this in the last few years, we've seen the emergence of practices like buttock enlargements.
Yeah. And?
Faux freckles.
Faux freckles. I mean, I've seen, what was it? There was something like someone had some cosmetic tattooing done because, what was it? That they had, I forget the name of it. They had the skin condition that Michael Jackson had that like paled their skin, and it like made all of their freckles in some weird pattern on their face disappear. I think it was. Maybe I'm mixing things up, but I remember seeing some video about somebody getting cosmetic tattooing to try to correct for that. I thought it was a little odd, but most plastic surgery or cosmetic surgery to me is kind of odd. Thank you, C. Thomas. Clearly, parents need not apply. I guess not. I mean, there's no. When you have a 10-year-old girl, she's just off in the wilderness by herself. She just is at the mercy of social media and influencers and has no supervisory control over her at all or anything. No, she's just an inherent victim because she's a 10-year-old girl left to the wolves, apparently.
And more recently, eyelash serums. Who knew that you had to worry about whether your eyelashes were moisturized? Well, you do apparently, but don't worry, there's a product that will sort that for you.
Yes, snake oil has been going around for generations.
So this brings me back to shametenance.
Yes.
Shametenance is all the things that we do individually and collectively to keep our bodies shameful.
To keep our bodies shameful. Okay, do tell.
We maintain shame sometimes by actively shaming others or ourselves.
It's called high school. And do I remember it? Wait, no, did I want to do that? Maybe I want to do that. Anyway, yes.
But we also maintain shame by keeping our bodies or the practices or the things that we do private, invisible, unsayable.
Yeah.
And we foster shametenance when we submit to the ideas that our bodies are just not good enough.
Okay, well, it all depends on context, but regardless, it comes down to individual choices. Now, whether or not you have a healthy self-image is, sometimes all the goodwill in the world can't affect somebody's own sense of self, right? You could have great parents and great friends, and you could still feel uncomfortable in your own skin for some reason or another. Building up a good, healthy self-image, even if it doesn't match the trend or something, can be a difficult thing. I know. I was the shy, stoic, small, or at least not athletic nerd. I was your classic nerd growing up, and I didn't fit in anywhere. I was picked on by the bigger kids. I was shamed by other kids. I didn't fit into any particular clique. I know how that is. But I'm telling you, and I'm telling you this to all the kids out there, which I don't think anybody actually watches my shows who are below the age of like 22 or something. But if you are, or even if you're not, even if you're like in your 40s or something and you're feeling bad about yourself, don't feel bad about yourself. You're practically perfect in every way. Unless you're, doing things to yourself or having habits that are ridiculously and demonstrably terrible for your long-term prospects. In that case, I would encourage you to change those habits to healthier ones. And there you go. It's a balancing act. What can I tell you?
Now, shame about our bodies is so deeply part of our culture that we expect it. So at the start of the talk, I said that most of you would have an easy answer to the question, which part of your body would you like to change? But perhaps I was wrong.
Well, here's the other thing, and I apologize for having to keep pausing because I have to. This is YouTube and I have to. But there's also a utility to shame. Okay. And it's not one people like to talk about too much, but it probably is more applicable in male culture than it is in, say, female culture. All right. Sometimes shaming someone is tough love. There was a story, and it's a few years old now, but it was relatively well known. There was a story of a guy whose best friend every single morning around the same time would text him with the phrase, "You fat fuck." And that was to remind him and encourage him to change his health habits. And this motivated this guy to work out, eat better, and lose weight. But every single day through the process, his friend, his best friend who cared about his friend, texted him, "You fat fuck." And that got him motivated. That's tough love. So shame can be a positive engine if applied correctly. Now, it doesn't work for everybody. It's not necessarily the healthiest thing to do, depending on the individual's psychological situation, but it is possible that shame can turn coal into diamonds.
Right? Perhaps if I picked on someone in the audience, that person might say, "I don't want to change anything about my body. I'm perfect just as I am.
I take you just the way you are."
Now, my suspicion is if that person did answer in that way, the rest of us might be unimpressed.
Oh, they must be lying. Is that it?
We might find that to be a very arrogant answer.
Oh, okay. What does that say about the listener more so than the speaker?
We might think, who do they think they are? They're no more perfect than the rest of us.
Well, I'm more perfect than some, especially my sister. I just had a conversation with my mother today about her birthday. Her birthday was today, or is today. It's still that day, and I ordered her flowers, and I had assumed that by the time the flowers arrived, that she would call and let me know. But as the hours ticked on over the course of the day, I didn't hear anything. And then it got to be about the time that the flower shop was already going to be closed. And I thought, oh man, did they not deliver on time? They told me they'd deliver on time. So I called my mother and I said, "Happy birthday, Mama. Did you get the flowers?" She says, "I don't think so." I said, "They told me they'd deliver it." "Well, let me check the porch." And sure enough, there they were. They'd been delivered. My mom hadn't heard it. There you go. The flowers are delivered. I was like, oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. And I said, has my sister called today? And she's like, "Oh yeah, she called hours ago." Like, okay. but I'm supposed to be the best child. And she says, "Oh, well, you were the first child." And I said, "It's not the same thing, Mother." No. But never mind me. Never mind me. What was I talking about?
We expect people to feel shame. And mostly, they do.
Does that make you feel better? Misery loves company.
So, shametenance is all the things we say and feel and do that keep us feeling ashamed about our bodies.
I have to wonder, are we sure? I mean, if we're going to be suspicious about people's statements, motivations, in other words, are we sure our speaker isn't saying we, but really means me?
It can include covering up our bodies so no one can see their form. It can include wearing natural makeup, which is makeup that's supposed to look like you're not wearing any.
Yeah.
Or it can be really overt, explicit makeup, like contouring, which changes the shape of your face quite drastically.
Or it can be, you know, like a whore's war paint or something. There's different extremes to everything. Thank you, Frosted Glass. The card with the flowers said, "You fat fuck." Actually, it said, "You're old. Love your son." Now, I'm not kidding. That's what it says. You are old. Love, comma, your son. I would never talk to my mother that way. I'm gonna call her an old bag. That's fine. I never insult my mother that way. What are you talking about? Angelverse, thank you so much for the lemon and lime high five. Appreciate it. Hope you're having a good evening and enjoying the show. All right.
It can be exercising, lifting weights, or dieting to try to reach a body ideal that can never actually be reached because the journey of improvement is never over.
Well, the journey of improvement is never really over in life unless you want to become a static individual, I suppose. I mean, I watch these TEDx's in some way, shape, or form to both expand my knowledge about different subjects, even if the subjects are crazy, but also keep my mind active so I'm thinking about different things and coming at them in different angles for, if no other reason, to try to stave off dementia and senility as much as I can, as quickly as I can. But yeah, it's a thing. Also, you have to live with your body your entire life. So as much as you are able to, would you rather have a body that is as fully functioning as you can make it? Or now, if you're talking about cosmetic things, like actual cosmetic things, like the shape of your nose or the contour of your this, that, or the other, I don't know. I've never been one for plastic surgery, but again, to each their own. If you want to spend the money, as long as you don't get addicted to it. You see some of those people out there that are addicted to plastic surgery and they just look like aliens from another dimension or something, and just it's sad. It really does feel sad.
And we can also feel shame about feeling shame. So one woman I spoke to after a talk said to me that she'd put on a bit of weight during lockdown, as many of us did.
Some more than others, I suppose.
And she felt ashamed of that weight.
Okay. And so what did that motivate her to do?
But she also identified as a feminist.
Oh, feminism. All right. Feminism on the board. Oh, she identified as a feminist, which means I have to love my fat. Is that it? Please tell me that being a feminist inherently means I have to love my fat and not try to change myself to conform to other people's expectations. Is that what we got?
And that meant that she felt shame about feeling ashamed.
Okay. And what is the common denominator in all of this?
She thought that she ought to be able to resist and reject those norms that women should care about their weight.
Well, no. How about norms about personal health, absent any consideration for the gender wars? What about just that? She maintained a particular weight before the lockdown. Circumstances caused her to put on some more pounds. Maybe she should just, work to return to her previous weight or better. Okay, well, what was your advice to her? Did you give her any advice?
But these norms are so ubiquitous.
What norms? The norm was pre-lockdown weight. At worst, pre-lockdown weight for this lady. And she was struggling over that, like, oh, I shouldn't shame my extra pounds. Did you tell her she was being ridiculous? How about just work your way back to where you were before the lockdown? Make it a project. You'll feel better about yourself. You've accomplished something to try to fight back against the forces of evil that put us all in lockdown for 2 some odd years. Did you give her any advice? Please tell me you told her something positive.
So powerful that it's incredibly difficult to resist. And so for that woman, shame about her weight was layered on top with shame about shame.
Intersectional shametenance.
That's what shametenance is.
Shametenance.
But what's wrong with it?
What's wrong with it? That you're taking away personal responsibility and putting all the responsibility onto outside forces.
Well, to some extent, I hope the answer is obvious.
Oh, I couldn't even pose a guess.
Psychologists diagnose what they call the epidemic of appearance anxiety because appearance anxiety and body shame is associated with various kinds of mental distress.
You don't say.
With depression, low self-esteem. And it can also be a factor in various forms of harmful behaviors such as disordered eating and self-harm.
Okay. I always have to remind myself, maybe her audience is just completely oblivious to their own lives, the lives of people around them, media in general, or reality. Maybe they have absolutely no idea that people have self-image issues or have ever had self-image issues. I don't know. Thank you again, C. Thomas. So another case of blame all but oneself. Well, she seems to be leaning in that direction, that we are all victims of norms and outside forces and influencers and the media and advertisers and so on and so forth. So I'm waiting, and waiting is the hardest part, to find out if she's going to offer us any solutions or any advice that she's gleaned from her years of study and her dozens of book writing sessions or whatever.
Beyond psychology, we might observe that some of the things we do to try to make our bodies different are painful or risky or dangerous.
Painful, yes. Invisalign, does make teeth sore.
Or simply they just cost a lot in time and in money.
Give me an example. If you're talking about something to the extreme of having your entire body filled with gelatin or something in order to make it smoother or curvier, I'd probably be on your side. If you're talking about exercising 30 minutes every day and spending a little more on fresher food, I don't see the issue.
But shametenance, I suggest, is also a political problem.
Of course it is, because you've got to cover all the bases.
It's a political problem because it connects to patterns of inequality and hierarchy.
Oh boy. Inequality and hierarchy. Are we going to get to DEI? You think? Are we going to get to marginalization? Oh.
To some extent, we all feel appearance anxiety, or the vast majority of us do.
Yes, as I said at the top of this, every person to some degree or another probably has something about themselves they're not happy with. You are making no grand revelations in this declaration. You really aren't. But okay, thanks for that.
But appearance anxiety operates differently depending on our sex and gender.
Does it? Does it operate differently, or does it sometimes focus on different things?
Our race, our age, and our disability status.
Oh man, that sounds like DEI to me, at least in spirit, but we'll wait. Yeah.
Some groups are particularly vulnerable to
demographics, not groups, demographics. I'm going to say it until the end of time. Demographics, they are not groups. Men are not a group. Women are not a group.
And our disability status. Some groups are particularly vulnerable to appearance anxiety.
Oh, which groups are those?
And high amongst this group are women.
Of course.
Girls and gender diverse people, and particularly during puberty.
Gender diverse people, and particularly during puberty. Okay, benevolent condescension. If nothing else, then over the course of this thing so far, it's like, did you know that people have appearance issues? Did you know that during puberty, people have appearance issues? Oh my gosh.
Now, shame is a special sort of emotion. Because it's an emotion about our status.
I suppose it can be.
If we compare shame with its close relative, embarrassment, we can see the difference. Embarrassment is a feeling, an unpleasant feeling that you get when you've done something wrong or inappropriate at a particular time. As the moment fades and the memory of the moment fades, then the embarrassment can fade away as well. But shame isn't like that. Shame isn't a bad feeling about something you've done.
Are you sure about that?
Shame is a feeling about who we are.
Well, who we are might be reflected in something that we've done, or, you know, like if I accidentally hurt someone I love through my recklessness, I can suddenly feel like I was not responsible. I was not responsible like I should have been, and someone I loved got hurt as a result of my bad choices. And I can feel ashamed about that. So it could be a result of something I've done, even if I'm a perfect person in relative terms up to that point. You know, I made one mistake, and depending on how much I'm actually responsible for it, I can still feel shame over that action or inaction, depending. But okay, sure.
Shame is the feeling that we are not equal to others, that our status is diminished or degraded.
I guess it seems to me it's a bit more circumstantial than that, but okay. And so extending the benefit of the doubt for the moment. Okay, on that basis, what have you divined in making that distinction?
And so shame is something that can be weaponized against us.
You're correct. As in, you fat fuck, but for a good cause.
When we are encouraged to feel shame about ourselves.
It's our responsibility to take responsibility for our own emotions.
And that encouragement is part of a project to sell things to us. That's a real injustice.
No, it's called advertising and marketing. No, you're right. That is an injustice. I mean, advertising and marketing in general is kind of an injustice. But ultimately, it's up to the individual as to whether or not they're going to give in to that kind of pressure, or to try to accept, or, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a word I'm looking for. Internalize. That's what I was looking for. Speaking of words in a presentation all about a new word, internalize those things. That is a choice. That is a personal choice. A choice that someone can decide not to make.
Okay, so I've told you what shametenance is, and I've told you what's wrong with it. What can we do about it?
I have been waiting the entire time.
Well, in general, the antidote to shame is pride.
Well, I suppose, unless it is a deserved shame. It all depends. But okay, pride. All right. Now, is this going to be pride even in the face of something that's demonstrably unhealthy for me? Like the lady from the lockdown. She gained a bunch of weight during the lockdown, and then she was like going back and forth about her feminism and how feminism, that was more an advertisement against feminism than anything else, I think. I don't know if she realizes that's what she did there. But either way, maybe she could turn that shame into something good. Have pride for herself. Take some pride in her appearance. Yeah, okay, all right. I see where you're going, I think, I hope, I pray.
Think of gay pride.
No, wait, no. No, wait. Okay, all right, all right, yes, okay, gay pride,
That was a concerted, collected effort made to rebut the shame imposed by homophobic laws and norms.
Okay. Right. Still think that's kind of a loose connection, but okay. What? All right. So what should someone do, right? Because here's the thing. Being gay is an immutable aspect of someone's makeup, right? Like you are attracted to who you're attracted to. Okay, that's who you are. It doesn't say anything about the kind of person you are. It's just as part of your makeup, like anything else, your hair color, your eye color, and so on. Okay, I can't change that. I shouldn't have to be ashamed over something I cannot change. So gay pride versus bodily pride doesn't necessarily connect, because there are some things about people's bodies that you can, with effort, change for the healthier, for the better. You feel better about yourself, right? I spent the last 2 years shoving pieces of plastic in my mouth to get my teeth into a decent orientation for long-term health. It's been painful, it's been inconvenient, it's been uncomfortable the entire time, but I've done it. It's something I can change. Okay. I can't change who I'm sexually attracted to. It just is. So, are you sure you want to go with gay pride as your parallel for Shametenance?
So you might think the antidote to shametenance about bodies is pride about our bodies. Maybe we should try to feel proud of our bodies.
If you've done the work to make them something you're proud of, maybe. I don't know. But you've already told us that we shouldn't have to feel that we have to change anything, right?
And that's the approach advocated by body positivity activists.
Yes, it is. And what do you think about that philosophy?
Now, there's nothing wrong with body positivity.
There actually is a lot wrong with body positivity. Any credibility you might have had just went out the window for me.
It's certainly much better than body negativity.
There's nothing wrong with body positivity, right? Healthy at any size, really? There's nothing wrong with body positivity. Okay, if you say so.
But body positivity can't be the only solution.
It is not a solution for anything. It's not a solution except for increasing the bottom lines of both the practitioners and the food companies.
To shametenance. For a start, it's incredibly difficult to do.
What is incredibly difficult to do?
The pressures on us to feel that our bodies could be better.
Some bodies can be better if you put the effort in and change your diet. I feel like I'm just repeating myself over and over again.
And to feel shame. Shame is so expected that very few of us can manage to achieve pure self-love at all times.
I don't know of anyone that has achieved pure self-love at all times. If they say that, they're probably trying to sell you something like a church or some kind of guru status kind of thing. Where are we going, lady?
And then, of course, body positivity can become just another way to fail, like the woman I told you about earlier described. You can feel shame about your body, and you can feel shame about feeling ashamed as well.
Well, that's the fault of feminism. That's not the fault of body positivity, unless feminism and body positivity are the same thing now or something. I suppose they have some interlocking elements.
So body positivity is limited then because it suggests that the way to solve an overwhelming social and political problem is individual.
It is individual because everyone's body is their individual What?
And we can't be expected to solve this on our own.
We can't solve what? Our personal self-esteem issues? I'm getting ready to circle word salad and or do a WTF. I'm going to back up a little bit. Maybe I chopped it up too much there.
About feeling ashamed as well. So body positivity is limited then because it suggests that the way to solve an overwhelming social and political problem is individual.
No, it suggests that you don't need to do anything about your body for your own health or well-being, and that everybody just needs to accept it as is, and you'll become as morbidly obese as possible to prove all the haters wrong. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the body positivity movement over the last 7 or 8 years or so, but that's basically it. It's a bunch of ridiculously and unhealthfully fat people saying there's nothing wrong with being morbidly obese. And you know where a lot of those spokespeople are now? 6 feet under. Blair White did a video on this, a month or two ago or something, talking about the body positivity advocates from the last several years. And she went through a litany of individual people who were all, yay, body positivity, yay, body positivity. And now they're all dead from health complications from their size and from their eating habits. That's what body positivity is pushing. They don't want to admit it because they'd have to admit that there's something wrong with them that's causing them to be all fat and unhealthy. But there's nothing wrong with body positivity. Okay.
And we can't be expected to solve this on our own. This is something we have to do together.
Okay, how?
So what can we do?
I don't know.
Well, to some extent, governments can help with this problem.
Oh, yes, just what we need, a nanny state to take over our individual health choices.
Governments can involve themselves in regulating the companies that try to sell us shame.
Or we could encourage people to make decisions for themselves that are personally responsible. We could encourage people to have some self-esteem and motivate themselves to do healthy things and not give in to people telling them to do things. Or maybe there could be something called parents out there that encourage children to think for themselves and take pride in themselves and their health. Maybe. But no, let's go to the government. Let's have the government do it for us. Oh, we can't do it for ourselves. We are just children. We are vulnerable, just helpless little babies. Oh, please, Mr. Politician. Because politicians are the most trustworthy and wise thinking among us. Please, Mr. Politician, will you solve my life for me so I don't have to do anything? So I can just sit on the couch and take a pill or, rub my feet against this particular device or swing my arm around with Wii Sports and everything will be fine. Ay, caramba.
Governments can regulate what companies can advertise, how they can advertise, the claims they can make.
Oh, regulate speech, short of like false advertising? Okay, tell me more about this utopia you are describing.
And even the products that they provide.
Well, I mean, from her accent, I'm guessing she's not in America. So not to say that the systems in America are perfect, but we have some checks and balances for those things. We have the Federal Trade Commission. We have the FDA, so many other things to check and double check on things. It's not perfect, doesn't work all the time, but hey, it's there. It's better than nothing. Okay, yeah, and?
So one recent example of this is new legislation that has made using cosmetic Botox and fillers illegal for children under 18.
Wow, I'm surprised that they were illegal for children under 18 to begin with. But then these days, there's a lot of questionable medical procedures taking place involving children. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised.
That's just very recently come in last year, that legislation.
Wow.
But the cosmetic procedures industry is still woefully underregulated.
Because it's all elective, isn't it?
Now, I have no medical qualifications whatsoever.
Wait. You go literally or figuratively, chapter and verse over psychology, body image, bodily health, eating disorders, on and on and on. And you have no medical background whatsoever. Okay. All right. Okay.
But if you are over 18, it would be legal for me to inject facial fillers into you for money on this stage right here.
Okay. And whose decision to do so would that be? Whose responsibility would it be if such an action were taken? Who is electing to have that done to themselves? And the blame should rest with... thank you, Keldrick, so much. I have no medical qualifications whatsoever. That explains a lot. Yeah, especially when she said that body positivity is all fine and well. I mean, that alone, I mean, granted, I don't have any medical qualifications whatsoever, but I can pay attention to things. I have a little bit, I think, I hope, I pray, a little bit of common sense. But she doesn't have, I have no medical qualifications. But she's willing to, like, make broad guesses and generalizations about people's psychology, about people's health concerns, about what causes these things. And she's read some studies, guys. I mean, she's read some large studies, so that's kind of like having a formal medical education. It's close, horseshoes and hand grenades. It's kind of the same thing.
So there's still a lot of room for regulation.
There's just like Jell-O, there's always room for regulation. Pardon me, I've almost said legislation, but there's that too.
But we can also go beyond regulation.
Oh, we could, yes.
We need to be aware of the dangers of social media.
Sure. And who should be teaching the vulnerable generation about these dangers?
We need to be aware that all the images we see have been filtered or moderated.
Not all of them. Well, a lot of them, sure. Not all of them.
That most of the videos we watch are adverts, either explicitly adverts for themselves or they're used to make money somewhere.
Yes. But you know that moving visual media has been around for a while. Yeah, thanks for this, again, grand revelation.
We need to be skeptical of the claims we see on social media.
Yeah, don't say. Am I coming into this with a certain level of skepticism? I am. So I hope our speaker will appreciate what I'm doing here. Yeah, not taking everything I'm told at face value. Sort of thinking about it a little bit, considering this, that, and the other, trying to apply other things that I've learned or know to it and ask some questions. Yeah. Okay.
We might also think of changing the way we talk to each other or even to ourselves about our bodies.
Like coming up with words like Shametenance.
It's generally a bad idea to comment on somebody's appearance, at least when their body is concerned.
Unless it's something like, you fat fuck, and that motivates somebody to get themselves healthier. Just saying.
Because there are lots and lots of examples of people suffering long-lasting, quite deep shame from comments about their bodies. And sometimes these comments can be very small.
Oh, like microaggressions or unconscious biases? I'm going to circle that one. That was talking about, or at least intimating, microaggressions.
One example I talk about in Intact is the case of a girl who had extensive cosmetic surgery on her face as a teenager.
Why?
Because she had been teased as a younger child for having big ears.
Who paid for that? Who enabled that in the first place, might I ask? For big ears. All right. Thank you, Jamie Milquist, for the smiley, happy Dogcat Fox. Oh, Dogcat Fox.
Wow. Wow.
That is, as Sinatra says, Dogcat Fox. Thank you so much, Jamie. Hope you're enjoying the show. All right. So a teenager was spoiled by her parents to get cosmetic surgery on her ears. And
that shame never left her.
Then it sounds like there's a deep-seated psychological problem going on there that has little to do with her ears. But at the same time, it's something that she needs to work on. And her parents should have seen to before spending who knows how much money, pain, and so on, and stress on her ears.
But the comments don't even have to be criticisms.
That's the extent of your example. There was a preteen girl who had surgery on her ears because people said they were big, and the shame never left her. That's it? You don't have any follow-up? Oh wait, that's right. You have no medical qualifications. Never mind.
One example in Hadley Freeman's recent book, Good Girls, is this. She says one trigger for her devastating anorexia was a comment she received from a school friend.
Maybe she should have sought therapy for that and gotten over it. But okay.
And the school friend said to her that she wished that she wasn't as skinny as she was, and she wished that she had a normal body like Hadley's.
And that made her get triggered?
And that apparently innocuous comment was enough to trigger these deep feelings.
Again, that is her problem, and one she should really see to. And what is society supposed to do about something like that?
Of shame. And sometimes even compliments can have this effect, because
you don't say.
Even a compliment.
It was a compliment. The girl was complimenting her on her body. She wanted to be like the other girl was. That was a compliment. Did I miss something? Right, the school friend said a thing to her, and that somehow triggered her eating disorder. Correct? It was a compliment. She was jealous. What? Thank you, Frosted Glass, so much. So the government needs to stop minors from getting procedures that society encourages because those procedures can be harmful. Now do hormone blockers. Oh, Nelly. I'd be curious to know what our speaker has to say about that, right? You talk about like being shamed by outside forces into making drastic decisions about your body. Yeah. Good call. Thank you, Frosted.
Apparently, innocuous comment was enough to trigger these deep feelings of shame.
It was a compliment. It was an innocuous comment, but it was also a compliment. It was jealousy. She was complimenting her body. And
sometimes even compliments can have this effect, because even a compliment reinforces the fact that you're being observed, scrutinized, and judged.
Everybody is being observed, scrutinized, and judged passively or other. Thank you, Fostonia, for the what do we got? Kabuki Dogcat Fox. Oh, Dogcat Fox.
Well.
That's a tailed feature, Dogcat Fox. Thank you, Fostonia, very much. It's very generous of you. That's my. I think I do play favorites. I think that might be my favorite Dogcat Fox. My favorite Wowie Wow. Anyway, what? No.
So generally, perhaps we should try not to talk about each other's bodies.
What if I want to talk about somebody's body? What if I want to tell them they got, nice legs or something? I have to be scared of complimenting somebody on the off chance that my positive compliment might trigger some deep-seated psychological trauma I can't possibly know that they possess? I guess we better just not talk to each other at all anymore. Not make any comments whatsoever on anybody's appearance. Somebody goes to the effort of, working out or dressing nice or anything else. Nope, don't say anything. Ignore it. Pretend like they're not even there. That's the healthiest way to go.
But the most important thing we can do to combat shametenance,
aside from stopping talking to each other about our appearances in general. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is to understand it.
It doesn't even sound like you understand it.
We need to recognize where we are.
I am sitting in my office in front of a computer.
It's incredibly common. It's normal in the sense of common.
You're right. Everything you've been talking about is common within the human experience and has been long before social media. It might be heightened now. Information about it might be more widespread, but it's not like these issues haven't been persisting in humankind forever. When did makeup get invented? Just riddle me that one. If we want to talk about how far back going to some effort outside of your own just natural being to make yourself more pleasing to the eye of yourself or to others, tell me when makeup was invented. I have a feeling we're going to have to go back a few thousand years. So yes, nothing you are talking about is new.
For you to feel shame about your body in some respects. It would be astonishing if you didn't, if you had managed to escape.
Escape. Oh my God, escape. Oh my God.
But feeling shame about your body in some moments or in some ways doesn't mean that your body itself is wrong.
It can.
We feel shame about our bodies because we're encouraged to do so.
Yeah, and if you're being encouraged to do so by a medical health professional, then what? Do you just spit in their face and say, I'm not going to let you contribute to my Shametenance?
When all of us feel that shame, then our bodies can't be the reason.
What?
We are being sold shame so that others can make money from it. Let's try to refuse to buy. Thank you.
Yeah, well, you know, those body positivity gurus also sell books and cookbooks and things too. I don't know if you know that, but you know, you have no medical qualifications. And anyway, there you go. Shametenance or shametenance. I was looking for a definition. I'm not sure I got one outside of just basic common human experience that anybody can really sort of divine on their own. Anyway, let's go to the bingo card and see where we are at. All right. This is what I have so far. I'm going to go over it one more time by myself and circle any squares that occur to me. If you have an argument for squares to be circled, please hold on to them. I'll get to you momentarily, and then we'll see where we are at. Okay, marginalization. I think it was all but said in people feeling out of place, people feeling like they don't belong, people feeling like they feel ashamed. I think shame in and of itself kind of implies a marginalized philosophy. Self-vilification or wretchedness. The question is, did the speaker do this about or to herself? And the problem is, she never really referred to herself. That's going to affect more than one square on the bingo card. She talked in abstracts, she gave anecdotes about other individuals, but I do not recall that she ever talked about herself or gave an example thereof. So I don't think so. Contradicts own point or argument. There's nothing wrong with body positivity. And several other things therein. That alone was enough for me to go, no. Privilege. Well, she was effectively saying that, you know, some people do this, that, and the other, but most of us, we don't. Most of us, we can't, or we shouldn't, or whatever. That some people have the privilege of, you know, sort of psychological privilege or body privilege. Oh, you know, some people just have natural good looks and we shouldn't even try to make ourselves look better. Just, weightless example. It's a funny phrase given the circumstances. Oh gosh, I don't want to lean on the body positivity thing again if I don't have to. I'm sure there was something she said in here. Actually, just about everything she talked about insofar as psychology, body health, or anything else is weightless because she's not even a qualified medical professional. So, yeah, I think that might be the only thing that she told us about herself throughout this entire thing. Plays victim. Again, she never really gave any examples about her own experience. So, collectivizes own demographic. Yes, women feel this way at large and so on. Economic disparity. She referred to plastic surgery, but she never really got into the, you know, some people can't afford this. Well, she did talk about the economy of good looks and spending money. No, you know what? I take it back. I'm going to need an argument for that one. I could see it, but I think I'm going to leave it in. Argumentative non sequitur. Argumentative non sequitur. Everybody feels this way. I don't know. I'm getting confused. I'm confusing myself now because I kept waiting for something more solid, but it was just a bunch of common sense platitudes mixed in with a bunch of blame everybody but yourself. A list. Did she give us a formal list in this? I don't even think at the point where she was talking about solutions did she give us a list. Patriarchy. No, No. I mean, I was surprised at the beginning that she actually mentioned the image struggles of men. She moved over to talking almost entirely and exclusively about women thereafter and only gave us a couple of examples. I'm not even actually sure she gave us any examples where a man had talked to her or there was a man that she knew, but otherwise she didn't really talk about patriarchy. She mentioned feminism. She didn't mention the forces at large are all men or something. She didn't say that. So, anecdote that probably never happened. Well, I can believe that she was at a book signing and her line was much shorter. Her interpretation of why and that whole it's shorter, but it's taking longer or something. Or slower. That's what it was. Other than that, what other anecdotes did she give us? Somebody was triggered by a comment someone made. I don't know. She was talking mostly abstractions the whole time. Diversity, equity, and or inclusion. I mean, she came close in saying that this affects primarily women and multi-gendered or something. But I don't know if that quite qualifies. That might be a bit of a stretch. White supremacy. Did she say people of color in there somewhere too? Yeah, she did different races and things. I don't know. I'm blanking a lot because she really didn't say a whole heck of a lot that was on point or specific in this. Childhood or family anecdote. She never talked about her family. Systemic institutional. Yes. The systems in our lives, the institutions of media and so on. Leaves out vital context. About body positivity, yes. Otherwise, shametenance is what we do to maintain shame. That's what she's called, shame and maintenance. Shame maintenance, right? That's what she was aiming for. And how do we solve it? I don't even remember what the solution was now. Word salad, yes, I'm circling it. It just, me just sitting here trying to recreate in my mind, what did I just hear and what did I get out of it? Tells me it's mostly a bunch of nonsense gobbledygook. Anyway, that's the card as I have it. I'm sure that people in the chat are yelling at me for obvious answers to some of these squares, but now is your time. If you have an argument for square to be circled, put in the chat now. Please tag me in your comment. It makes me see it a little bit better on things. I'll scroll up a bit, see if I missed anything. And here we go. Shadow Claw says 6000 BCE. Makeup dates all the way back to 6000 BCE, starting with the Egyptians. They created it as they believed makeup was next to godliness and that it appealed to the gods. Well, that can't be. The way our speaker was talking, this was just figured out within the last 10 years. Shadow Claw, what are you talking about? 6,000 years, or actually 8,000 something years. I'm an English major, not a math major. 10,000 years ago. Oh, come on. No, that's not. That can't be right. That can't be right. Abcast Daily Scribelite. Her dress was self-vilification wretchedness. That was classic. I'm hiding my figure out of shame garb. That is wholly subjective, pardon me. Yeah, the argument could be made, but it wasn't part of the presentation. She didn't motion to herself when she was talking about people using baggy clothing. Zero the Hero, Scribelet. I'm wildly surprised you don't have a WTF circle on the bingo card. Well, she just kept floating right on the edge of, I suppose I should have done it for the body positive when she said there's nothing wrong with body positivity. And I probably should have done it for I don't have any medical qualifications, I guess. Maybe I'm being kind. I don't know. It just, yeah. Keeper Dam, light vitiligo is a skin condition. That's what it was, vitiligo. It was on the tip of my tongue when I brought it up. Yeah, vitiligo. Yeah, I remember... I thought it was cosmetic freckles. I thought it was someone who had had some kind of, it was somebody who had had some kind of either skin condition or whatever, like vitiligo, and half their face was freckled and the other half wasn't in some way, or there was some kind of big splotches of blank space as a result of something that had happened later on in life. And so they had cosmetic freckles put on to try to even things out. That's what I recall. Of course, this might be from several years ago on some weird Discovery Channel TV show. So anyway, Zan Wild, weightless example, the girl that had big ear surgery. You are right. That's what I was trying to think of, but I already circled weightless example otherwise, but good call. Good call. Actually, for that one, I might almost say leaves out vital context, because what does that have to do with anything? She just kind of said that happened and then walked away from it, and then that trauma persisted. Like, okay, and what does that have to do with anything? How does that actually, that might be argumentative non sequitur, because it didn't actually contribute to, okay, what are you supposed to do about that shame? What was done about that shame? What happened to that girl? I feel comfortable doing that. Let's see. Advocast Diaboli, in all seriousness, she did admit that she had things she has that she would change about herself, which in her own argument we read to. Did she talk about herself? And I'm seriously, I don't recall. Did she say that about herself in the talk? Bold sign. She said inequality for the diversity spot. Did she? I guess she did. Diversity, equity, inclusion. Oh yeah. Okay, I'll think about that for a second. Let's see. I see somebody to confirm that she was referring to herself at some point. Frosted Glass, patriarchy blamed hierarchical society for beauty standards. Not explicitly patriarchal. If she had said something like, all these male-controlled cosmetic companies are telling young girls how to look. If she'd said something like that, then that'd be an obvious one. But she didn't get that specific. Tier Alexander, anecdote that never happened. Her being there with a rock star and she had anyone in line. See, this is why I believe it. It's just such a random thing to say. Of all the bands that she could come up with, is one that Pulp, she said. I'd never heard of that before. She was at a book signing convention or something. I could believe it. That she had anybody in line, sure. I don't think that is so far-fetched that I can't believe it. Let's see. Yeah, can somebody confirm that she did talk about herself, that she had things she wanted to change? I'm willing to accept that. If she was putting herself in the same category as what she was talking about, then wait a sec. She joined the circus like Dumbo. You mean Dumbo? What? Oh, the girl with the big ear. Oh, no, she had surgery to correct it. She couldn't fly anymore. She couldn't. Lexi Mad, she met Pulp. Well, apparently the lead singer of Pulp was doing a book signing at the same place she was doing book signings at some convention or something. She had a booth and he had a booth and they were next to each other. So, yeah, I've never heard. If I've heard of the band Pulp, you're going to have to tell me one of their songs, because I don't know it off the top of my head. Let's see. Frosco leaves out vital context. Said body positive was only a good thing, leaving out the existence of obesity. That is true. Yeah, no, she did do that. I don't want to lean too hard into that one example, but that was a pretty big one. No pun intended. No pun intended. But you know, I'll take it even if I didn't intend. All right, that's where we're at right now on the card. Let's see. Anybody else? I know we're going for that self-wretchedness thing. I just need somebody to confirm that she at some point started referring to herself, because I don't remember that very explicitly. That was his Dutch name. Dombo? Oh. The only Dutch word I really know is windmolen. That's it. That's as much as I know. We got Kiro Soldier. Thank you so much for the smiley, happy Dogcat Fox. Oh, Dogcat Fox.
Wowee, wow.
That's an irate Alex Dogcat Fox. Thank you, Kiro Soldier. Appreciate it. Let's see. Advocate Diablo. She also mentioned economic disparity and how it affects people differently when it comes to shame. She did talk about the economy of it. She did talk about spending money and so on. So, all right. You know, it's not a bingo square, but it's fair enough. Oh boy. This might be a frustrating one. Can somebody give me a good reference on either self-vilification or wretchedness or a list, then we might be in business. A childhood or family anecdote. She never talked about herself or her family. So we're right on the edge of at least one bingo. Any last-minute arguments for squares to be circled? Just need a little bit more on one or the other. Programming note. The Sunday stream will actually happen this Sunday, unless my sister's plans dramatically change and we're going to go visit our parents to make up for last week when we couldn't because she had a migraine. So yes, the Sunday stream at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on this channel, where I'll talk about a thing. Not sure what it'll be yet, but I'll figure it out between now and then. So there's that. Also, Sunday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, unless they decide to change it this week, will be on Midnight's Edge After Dark, the shit list, where we'll go over our top fives of something. I don't even know that he's asked for what the topic will be yet, but or maybe I missed it. If I missed it, I'm in trouble. I got to submit my top five soon. Looking forward to that. Also, if you guys didn't know already, our friend of the channel, Matt Orchard, true crime content creator, has released a new video, a new documentary on the case of Joel Guy Jr., a very gruesome and ridiculous case in many different ways. If you don't know about Matt Orchard, look up Matt Orchard Crime and Society on YouTube and check out his videos. He has a good library of true crime stuff going back several years, all of which are definitely worth your time. So check that out if you have the opportunity. Bold sign, kind of a list when she said solutions are government intervention or social media that's right. The things that government could do. That was a list. Very good, bold sign. Bold sign, you have just saved the proverbial day and given us our first, perhaps only, bingo.
What? Bingo! Yeah! Of course! Of course!
Did that actually play the sound? When I clicked it on my end, it was silent. Did people hear that on the broadcast? Because on my side, it just was the image without any noise. That was bizarre. Let me know in the chat. Did you actually hear the sound? You did. Okay. That was weird. I'm going to do that again. Not that we have a second bingo, but I just want to see, was that StreamYard being goofy or is something broken on my
bingo? What? Bingo! Yeah! Of course! Of course!
Okay, on my end, it's completely muted. That is bizarre. Everything else has worked so far. All the dog, cat, foxes, the rim shot. Suddenly that one is silent. I have no idea why that is. That is bizarre. Okay, well, as long as you guys heard it. That's fine. Of course. I can do an of course.
Of course! Of course!
And it was muted again. Have I suddenly lost sound for my stingers? Yeah, it's obviously a me problem. Okay, well, anyway, we have a bingo. Any other arguments for bingos, or I should say squares to be circled, before I wrap up for the night, as we're getting right onto the wire of my usual time? I'll take any last-minute arguments. That was weird. Suddenly, StreamYard is not playing sounds for me. I guess I'll have to watch very carefully when I do the outro if I can't hear the music. The music tells me when the outro is about to finish and I turn off the stream. Holy cats. Let's see. Tony Gift says, YouTube in Europe is strange tonight. Can't see your links, Scribelight. Oh, well, there's been a whole bunch of internet shenanigans taking place today. Internet and phone shenanigans across the globe. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know. Let's see. Anything else? Well, I don't see any other arguments. So I'll wrap up here. If somebody has one at the last second, I'll entertain it. Let's see. Circle the card because your sounds died suddenly. That deserves a WTF. Nah, but if I play the WTF, I don't get any sound out of it. There's no enjoyment there. Oh, yeah. But anyway, everyone, I'm going to start wrapping things up here. First and foremost, thank you all again for joining me this evening. But before I actually wrap up, there is the matter of the Discord server. Yes, you know, or you should know about the Scribelight Discord server. I'm putting a link in the chat right now. If you'd like to join the Discord server, all you have to do is click on that link. You'll find yourself on the landing channel called Say Hello. And all in addition to saying hello, you just have to give me the secret word, and the secret word will tell me that you actually watched the stream. And today's secret word is positivity. Just say, hello, positivity, and I'll know that you watched the show and have thus earned the right, the privilege, the entitlement to join the Discord server. Beyond that, everybody, I want to thank you all for joining me. Moderators, thank you so much for keeping an eye on things. Even though everyone here is so well behaved, you have very little to do. Everybody who donated either to myself or to the fundraisers at the top of the chat box, thank you guys so much for your generosity. Really, really do appreciate it. And also, thank you all for the happy birthday wishes to Mama Scribe. I'm going to call her right after the show and let her know that everybody was sending her good vibes. I'm sure she'll appreciate it. Everyone, again, thanks for joining me. Hope you found this interesting or educational. If you have an argument for a square to be circled that was not circled during the course of the show, you can leave your argument in the comments below. I have, on occasion, done retroactive bingo circles and bingos themselves, which I will update to the Discord server if that is the case. So if you have an idea, an argument that I didn't entertain already, by all means, put it in there. And leave a like on the way out if you would. And if you like this kind of thing, share it out to other people on social media. You know, that evil social media that makes you feel bad about your body? Well, make somebody feel good about my channel, and I'd appreciate it. Everyone, hope you have a good rest of your Thursday and your Friday ahead of you. Hope you have a good weekend. I hope you're all safe and well. If you are not well, please get well soon, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.